Cheers! Welcome to a Monday night stream, baby! Thought I'd do some live coding. Yeah. Do some actual coding today, because I haven't done any yet. Was mostly planning meeting. Was necessary. It was quite okay. But yeah, maybe we can continue where we left off yesterday. Please also let me know if the noise in the background is making too much noise, because then I will turn it down. And just be a sweaty guy. That's fine. So I thought I'd start off by just running my tests again. They're still working, so glad. So yesterday we were doing this bit where we were trying to use the pump house in Magnum Sal, and we got as far as noticing that there is some refactoring to be done, because there was plenty of duplication there between using the pump house and then mining, because I did write both of these nodes, so we are going to do some fun stuff, and that is a refactoring. We've got the tests ready for that. They should be helpful enough, and hopefully also not tied to our implementation too much, so that we can actually just extract this stuff. Let's see, what is the actual, excuse me, duplication here. Right, so both the pump house and mining, like actual mining, requires you to have a miner at. Where is it? Here we go. It also requires you to pump water from a mine chamber, so you cannot pump water or mine salt from the mine shaft itself. So not from this bit, but only from these. And then the last thing is that there needs to be the thing available that you want to take away, right? So with mining salt, it's salt that needs to be there. And with water, it's just water cubes that need to be there. So all three things are duplication. And yeah, I really didn't think about how to solve this problem, but we'll get to that right now, in fact. So maybe the first thing we can do is just make the smallest of changes, because as you can see, they're both, you to have a miner at this is exactly the same. So we can just immediately extract this. Did I press the buttons? Yes, I did. Requires you to have a miner at. And then yes, replace this one, please. Oh, there is even another part where I'm removing a worker from the mine. So there we go. That's already some duplication extracted. And then what's next? You to pump water from a mine chamber. So this is a little bit different. That's the only thing that's different. So what I will do here is extract this. Extract this out of that as a string. What the verbenings? Select target code block. Oh yeah, it's just within this thing, right? Maybe let's call it action or something like that, and then we'll do the same over here. Action, and then we will write this as template as well, and then we can just extract this as well into requires you to be in a mine chamber. Yes, please. The thing I did not do this time is in fact check if there's another place, because I should have checked for the is in a corridor effect, because that'll reveal. Yeah, no, that's not a duplication, and neither is that one. Okay. And then the last thing was this bit here, I think. We can also inline this again now. We will do the same here. Ooh. Okay, so I still want to keep this because it should just read as if it were a regular method. So there to be in something, and then it takes so this isn't really duplication, but the concept is duplicated, right? So we want there to be the thing that we want to do the action on. How are we going to handle that? Take a sip of my beer. Oh. How would we name that? Let's just play around with this a little bit. So requires there to be, I want to say a movable object or something like that, but maybe that's not really great. And then what we could do is a water to pump and then add, so we need both of these things. Maybe we could call it like requires there to be, requires presence of, and then a water to pump at. That's also sort of reads nicely, right? I think so, in fact. So the other thing is that a water to pump, because it's water cubes, we'll need to use this function, and then if it's salt, we'll need to use this function. So the blah is available at. Both of these are quite different in implementation, which we also noticed yesterday. So the salt is available at and the water is available at are a little bit different in that salt is available at needs some salts, and which isn't like an actual object that we can use to check whether there is still salt available there. But water cubes really is just a type alias for an integer, so we can't do that much fancy stuff with that, I guess. Unless yeah, I think the implementation here is also a little bit different in that what we do with this thing is we ask the salt to mine, can it be mined from? And then a way to verify that the thing is still there. So I think I don't want to mess with this too much because it doesn't really happen to be that that the same. So maybe what I want to do is only pass along this function. So then instead of it looking like this, or what I want to do instead is this. Right? And this will just return there to be no, because that is still oh, now I just figured something out, is that if we check for this one, here we actually have a salts object, but here we've got a water cubes thing going, so this will be stringified nicely, I think, at least, because the toString, yeah, see, prints it out nicely, but the water cubes really do not. That Gunt asks, are you coding with Java? No, this is Kotlin, my friend. It's I like to call it Java 2, you know, where Java is like a little bit held back with I mean, the whole backwards compatibility thing, and Kotlin was like, screw that mess. Let's still have a JVM language, but then also have proper types, null pointer, null safety, stuff like that. Just dead. That will be easier. Thank you so much. That also indicates that I probably misspelled your name, so of which I'm sorry. But yeah, Kotlin living the dream. Yeah. But we will fix that later. This the way that this gets stringified, I think. Maybe we can also make this into like a proper object instead of just a type alias for an integer. And then we can also give it a proper toString implementation. Huh? That is also trying to code some plugins for Minecraft, but it gives you errors when you're trying to build the artifact. Teach me somehow. I would need to look at your console errors, I guess, or your compiler errors. But I would think that there's a whole community for the Minecraft as well, if you want to make mods or plugins for that. But I can try and help you out if you want. So yeah, get me those compiler errors or something, and then maybe I can help you out. But yeah, no promises. A screenshot. Maybe a screenshot isn't really great, because if it's an actual error log, then I'll want to copy paste text, and you can't really select text from a screenshot, right? Maybe what you can do is make a gist. Let's see. So there's gist.github.com, which for example you can do something like Minecraft compilation errors or something like that. You put some stuff in here, you say create public gist, and then you just share this link with me, and then we can look at that. If that makes sense. Huh? Maybe I'll also make this a little bit bigger. That will make it more readable. That's okay, man. Everyone's learning at some point. Cool. I think you will need a GitHub account though, but I'm just assuming that you have one already. It's okay if you don't. In the meanwhile, we shall create a function that is indeed going to return a boolean, and this is like presence requirement checker or something. I don't know. And what we want to put in there is basically the thing that we have here. So let me try and make it as explicit as I can. So this stuff, ooh. I'm not really sure if I can do this now. No, I will be able to do it, yeah. Then it should read this, I think. Thank you so much for following Chamaye. Or Shamaji. This is going to be an any type, I'm afraid. Presence type or something, I don't know. Something like that. There we go. Oh, I also need the @ Boop. Oh yeah, right. And now I need presence any, and then a specific @ which is going to be a mind position or something, position in mind. Yeah. Yay! And then we no longer are able to use this should be presence. Type and @ and then @ I also need to pass along, I guess. I feel like there's something wrong with this, but let me check it out in a bit. So hang on. We probably can make it a little bit more generic in a little while, but let's just first work through this, shall we? So then this needs to become presence and @ and then we go like this, and then we'll rename, oops, no, this thing, thank you. There we go. And then that means we should be able to remove that. And it should be okay. So the any type is a specific one. So I think what I'll need to do here is make this into a generic T. And then just say D is this is fine. And then I also think I can make this shorter, but let's not do this just yet. So hang on. Now I think, well, first we've refactored this to use this new style of coding basically. So what I can do instead, what I can do now is actually check my tests. So the test Magnum Sal stuff, and no, actually let's run all of them. All of the tests, yeah. Oh, hang on. So now I'm having a GitHub account. Can I just grab the file in it, or do I have to copy paste it? I think you'll have to copy paste so you'll have to copy paste the contents of the file, but then also, and then I think more importantly, is the contents of your error that you're getting, because you're saying trying to code some plugins, but it gives me errors when you're trying to build the artifact. Is it compilation errors you get in your IntelliJ, for example, or Eclipse environment, or is it during like a build run step, for example, that you're trying to do? Because there's a little bit of a difference there. So I'll need the output. Okay, so if it's IntelliJ, then yeah, maybe then it's just a simple compilation error that we might be able to comprehend. Let's just start off with that, and then maybe we can also check the actual compilation error if you happen to be able to access it in a while. Okie dokie. In the meanwhile, my tests are all green, which is great. So then, yeah, I can try and reuse, where was it, this thing? Rewrite this as like I did here. Let's see if that will work. So requires presence of, and then the type that I want to be present is the salt to mine. Then at, and then what I want to do as a particular check is this thing, which I can then do salt to mine, comma, at, arrow, blah blah. There we go. This is yet another refactoring. I think this is hiding. Shadowed, yeah. So let's not do that. Let's call this presence then, I guess, because that's also what I called it there. This is a bit silly. Like, why is it not giving me this error here? Pulse. There we go. And then we'll do the same here. Pulse. Oops. Bam. So now rerunning my tests again. And then we can probably shuffle the order around a little bit. Oh, it's working. So now we've got a miner at, presence of, requires you to be in a mine chamber. Now I think what I want to do is make sure, so this is the to-do I'm working on right now. Let's try and make these, there we go. Now they are all in the same order, and then this is like an extra one that we need to be able to actually mine from a mine chamber. And then I think what I can do is already, I don't know if IntelliJ is going to be smart enough to do this. But what are we going to call this? Like, this is like obtainable or gatherable. Ooh, gatherable requirements. Ah, yeah, it doesn't suggest the duplication. That's probably because, yeah, this is generically typed and this is just a function anyway, so I can't imagine why not. Maybe it's the pump water. Maybe it's the pump water. Let's try and extract this. Action. Let's do the same here. Now let's try that again. Gatherable requirements. Still no dice. Dang it. I'm also not really sure if it makes that much sense, in fact. But you know what? Let's just try it out anyway. So that means no adding that as like the last argument. And then this will become chop presence of type T. This becomes the T, and then I'm not sure if I can do that. Oh, maybe it looks like I can. Oops, now where is it? This one. And then this should be presence. Okay. And now let's see if we can also make excuse me. Make this look exactly the same. So I'll need that. I'll need to gather salt to mine. Oh, maybe we can probably just rename this to gather in a while. Action remains the same, and then I'll need this thing. So this is the cool part as well. You see, Kotlin is giving me compilation errors because they know, hey, you passed along salt to mine to this gather thing, so I need a way to check whether or not salt is available at a certain position. So that's great, which keeps me from making silly mistakes. Huh? Okay, so this seems to be compiling. Let's try and run it. Oh, we've got a linky. Oh, nice. Okay, this is going to be helpful. Nice. Okay, I'll take a look at this as soon as my tests are green, and then I've finished this refactoring, if that's okay with you. So this is great. This is just gatherable requirements, which is going to turn into gather. And then we can inline this. And we can probably just hide that. And then this also becomes gather with an inline. I don't know, how do we feel about this refactoring? If we hide the private function somewhere. See, this thing is becoming a little bit, it's getting out of hand, all of these private methods. But when we read, what the hell is going on? Okay, there we go. Oh, now we can also put these near my gather function. And then we'll try to make a little bit more clear that this stuff belongs together so we can have an easier time refactoring it later. Let's see. Okay, so now our functions of mining and using the pump house read. You want to gather at a certain position for a certain player, the action pump water, the water to pump, and then a way to check whether or not water is available at a certain position. I feel like this is so silly because I don't even think I need to pass along this now anymore. Because I think I can just pass it along as a reference, no? How do you do that again in Kotlin? Is it like double colon? Or this? Yeah. I'm not sure. What do you like best? This or with the... this would turn into this style. I don't know. I kind of like this one the best. Let's run the tests again and then we can commit. Have another sip of my beer. Yay! And then make a little commit. A refactored, a duplication of gathering stuff. I thought this was a pretty cool refactoring. Commit. Oh, alright, let's check out your code. Okay, so first of all, so what we can see is that there's a compilation. It's just a simple compilation error in your main.java class file. And you can see that at line 38 at column 24, somehow Java expects an ending brace, but it wasn't there. And you also seem to be missing some semicolons. It makes no sense when I am doing that characters where it expected. Okay, let's check it out. Where is your main class? Here we go. Line 38. So that's here. Get command. I have no idea what this is. So this I don't get. I don't think this is Java. I also think there's something missing here. So I don't think this is going to compile, in fact. The name of the command. Yeah, I think let's find out what the get command does, huh? So I think it should be in here somewhere. So that's not the case. Also command register. Ah, so maybe it's part of the Java plugin class then. Did you bring that? No. So the Java plugin is something from Bucket. Okay. But then I imagine the Java plugin class has a method called getCommand where you need to pass along a command. And it might be this new date command then that you need to do. This set executor thing, I'm not sure what it is. And here you call command registration. Let's find out what this Java plugin thing is, huh? Look at date command. Yeah. You might also want a space here. And why return false here? There is that executor thing. Oh, you mean... Ah, you mean this thing? Ah, yeah, okay. Here's that slash date stuff you wanted to say. Oh, okay. Well, let's find out, huh? Let's just take any... Right. So what I was interested in is the Java plugins get command, what the contract looks like. So here's the get command, which only takes a string, gets the command with a given name specific to this plugin. Ah, yeah, and that's why you need this part. And what is returned out of it? Get command returns a plugin command. And date command is a plugin command? No, that's the executor, okay. Right. Yeah, so then what I think you need to do... Can I comment here? Dang it. Okay, so what I think you will need to do is this needs a string, so probably it's going to be a date. And then as a set executor, you can do new date command, and probably that will fix things. So let me copy paste that for you. There, you can try that already. And then let's find out if I'm correct in assuming that this get command is returning something, some object that has a set executor function. So this get command thing was returning a plugin command, and this has a set executor thing. Get set executor, which takes a command executor, which is indeed your date command. That was a command executor. There you go. I think that should fix it, my man. And then this, it's very important, I think, that the thing you have here relates to this here. So I think what you want to do to make that more explicit is to have like maybe like a list or something, or a map that say commands, where you can just keep on adding the commands and fetch them using the string. So I think, let's see, let's try a quick final hash map of strings. So that's, or those are going to be the identifiers, and then command executors, I think, are the things that you want. It's called command map, and then we can initialize that with maps dot. Okay, now I'm not really sure anymore. Oh no. Okay, hang on, huh? This has been a while since I've done this structure. Ah, wait, hang on. Since it is a main method anyway, let's do it like this. Command map. Yeah, we can create this function here, and then we'll use that to initialize this command map. Let's actually make it a little bit easier for myself and create these command executor things real quick. So we can't make it final because then you need to initialize it in the beginning. I am going to make this a new hash map, and then we can oh, empty. Oh, this is a search. I didn't want to use that, sorry. Isn't it maps or something? New hash map then. There we go. And then we can do... Ah yeah, so, okay. I will try and explain. So the thing you have now is there is there's coupling between this string, which is just a string, and this here in your plugin YAML file. So let's try and make that more explicit. So in plugin YAML, you've got something like commands, then a date, and then a description. I don't even... And I hope your date command thing is going to have a set description thing as well, right? Or maybe command executor has that. Command executor. Yeah, I know it's German, but maybe this just happens automatically. I'm trying to figure out, yikes, if this description is somehow used. Yeah. So this right here is tied directly to this. So if you do this by mistake and you don't change this, then you're gonna have a bad time. And the thing I wanted to make more explicit is you can go like, actually you can't. Hang on, where is your code again? Date command, here's the main, which is a plugin. Command registration. Okay, I'm just thinking now. Yeah, there is some pain that you will have at this point. And this isn't static. Now, of course, this can't be typed anymore. Oh yeah, it's not the code isn't done just yet. I was just trying to do something like this, and then get command will become something else later. So here we'll do put, and then you can just do like this, and then new date command, for example. This is going to be a little bit easier, and then what you can do is for command map for each, or just a for loop for map entry string command executor in command map. Jesus Christ, I can't believe I don't remember how to do it. Oh yeah, entry in command map. Good God. I don't even remember how to do Java anymore. Can you believe that? Yeah, coding seems so simple and complicated as well. You got that. You got that right. Yeah, that's okay, my man. But so the idea is you want to loop over this map, and then let's say it should work. Then you can just say entry.get key should be entry.value. Now if I only were to remember how to loop a map, then that would be very helpful. I can't believe oh, maybe it's just a map then. Maybe it's like entry set. Yeah, this is it. Hey. All right, this should do it. Get key, get value. There you go. So that way, the only thing you need to be aware of is this. So every time you add something to your YAML, something like this. I don't know what could be a good, like a move player command or something. Description, bewegt den Spieler or something. And then you could do like this, and then you say move player command, for example. So this couples this string with the command and also this string with your commands here. If that makes sense. Does that make sense? I will try and copy paste all of this stuff. I mean the important stuff. Here. There you go. Well, the YAML file is really a way to externalize configuration, and it's somehow coupled to this Java plugin stuff. All right. I hope I helped you out, my man. Have fun doing this plugin. It seems like fun stuff. All right, I will get back to coding some nice and easy Kotlin. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, I think this, I'm okay. I mean, I'm glad with this refactoring, in fact. It makes gathering more abstract, so that's good. I think there was another, so this dunsies, then refactor player actors and oh right, ooh, this is another important refactoring, which will make a lot of stuff much easier. So somewhere in where excuse me. Let's try and group all of the events that are player actions, shall we? Okay, so not a player action, not a player action, not a player action. Maybe it shouldn't be like a player action. It should be something that says, I want to express something that says this action costs an action or like a movement or something like that. I just noticed it's getting pretty dark here. Let me just fix that real quick. Alright. Should be better, huh? Doopy doopy doo. So, let's call it player actions just for now. Player actions. Revealing a chamber, not a player action. Mining salt, definitely player action. This is a result, so also not a player action. A water pumped, definitely a player action. So let's try and move these a little bit up as well. There we go. So before they were in the order that things naturally happen in the game, but it doesn't make sense anymore now. Issue. Siri, dumbass. Right, so we were just about to make this into player actions. So what I think I'll do is create a sealed class called player action event or something like that. And then I think I might be able to do do something like this. Ba-bam. They need to be grouped. Now I don't know if you can have multiple nested classes, nested sealed classes that is. Oh, you can. Except now, and this is the thing I don't like. What are you coding anyway? Oh, let me explain it to you. I'm so glad you asked. Okay, so there is this board game. It's called Magnum Sal. Magnum Sal is a fun board game about mining salt out of the famous Polish salt mine Wieliczka. And it looks like this. You've got a nice play mat, and then you've got the mine shaft, and all of this mess is just like players, miners that are in the mine shaft and trying to excavate as much salt as they can to then eventually deliver it to the king's castle. And I was inspired at some point by Thomas Koopman from his session that he hosted at Socrates Belgium last year, where we did the game of memory in an event-sourced way. And well, after I played this game, I was like, I really want to code this game in Kotlin using event sourcing as a design pattern. So then I just started doing that, and this has been, as you can see, already a while ago. I have been coding on it like off and on for the last couple of months. Not really seriously, I should say. And yeah, so now we're steadily just moving along in this game, and eventually, so there's no visually no user interface for it. It's just pure backend and making things work in the backend basically. Can you run it already? I can only run it using unit tests. So yes, but also no. The thing that comes as closest as possible is when I run... Where the hell did I do that? Here. When I visualize the miners and visualize the zloty, then it sort of prints out the mine shaft virtually. So now I can't run it because of compilation errors. Yay. So what I think I will do is I will try and make type aliases for this and then try and inline them. So I want all of the data classes. I want them all as aliases. Type alias bleu equals blue, and then oof, well, sort of, but not really. So this I don't think I'll need. This I think I might need. I'm not really sure. Nested and local type. Wait, why is that? Because it's part... Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, bastard. This shouldn't be water pumped. Why is it all water pumped? That makes no sense. I must have done something wrong somewhere, but you know what? And now I think I will need that Magnum Sal event dot... God. Player action event dot something. Yeah, and then both of these need minor movement event. Yeah, okay. Now everything should compile. Oh. Sorry, what? Right. So it found something else. So what I will just need to get rid of these anyway, and then that's sad. But then if I just import it once, it should be okay, right? Or not? Oh, right. That's silly. This needs to be a Magnum. Oh wait, then I can probably keep the aliases and then just make this a Magnum Sal event. Ah, yes. Haha. Ha! Okay, let's just fix these imports. Let's compile. Let's drink some whiskey. Mmm. Mmm. Then I guess we're doing an import spree anyway now. Coding is like porn, main is a woman, and if you say a woman's have tits, you have to code the tits and what they are doing. I don't quite understand. How is main like a woman in that regard? Like, it makes no sense at all. You silly. Okay, I just removed stuff, but it works. Okay, that's okay. Then let's go to somewhere else. Let's go here. This is fixed already, apparently. Same for here. Same for here. Same file again. Oh yeah, same file. That was not quite. Yeah. Let's add the player action event thing then. There we go. There we go. Let's compile again. I have a great streamer, dude. Can't hang out right now, but it was great meeting you today. You don't have to. If you put something on main, you most likely have to code. Ah, yeah. This is correct. Main is like the function, your entry function into you doing anything or making any Java program runnable. Yeah. I wish you the best of luck, friend, with your Minecraft plugin, and if there's anything I can help you with in the future, just let me know. Come hang out in the stream. Auf Wiedersehen. Okay, now it's coding, and then I mean it's compiling, my bad. Chain rule, whatever. I want to go to this test because there is something that says visualize stuff, and then visualize blah. And then if I run this, you will see the glorious UI that I've created for this. And it's like this. Just teach me. Yeah, I don't have the time for that, I'm afraid. But I think there's like, I actually don't even have good resources to have you teach Java to yourself. I only know of Code Wars, but that doesn't even help you learn syntax, so. Meh. But so here we have a visualization of the mineshaft, where we just have the top, like the edge, and then at the first position we've got one black player's miner. At the second position the black player has 2 miners, and then in the first mine chamber the white player has 4 miners. So like this, where is it? Like this almost. So black player, 2 black miners, and then here 4 white miners. That's basically what I'm showing here. And then the fact that the white player has 2 zloty and the black player has 12. So that's about all I have for a UI, but I don't care about a UI right now. I just want to go ham on Kotlin. Okay, so now we have introduced player actions, and what I can do next is in the turn order rule, instead of just having all of these, I can replace one thing with player action event, get rid of all of this crap, and then just say map it to player. And now what I need to do is give the player action event a player, which I haven't done yet. So this thing will have a player, which is a player color. Yeah, damn it, and I don't want to break contracts, so all of these player things. Oh my god, and they already have. No, why? Let's do an underscore. And then there's no way I could do this. I was looking for a way to multi-cursor my way out of that, but there isn't. Oh no. Okay, I can fix it. There we go. And then just both of these need to have an extra underscore apparently. There needs to be a better way to do this, but I'm too lazy to check that out. What's going on here? Could be private. Well done, IntelliJ. How are you not happy now? It is private. Compile. How is everybody else doing? I am super hot. It's really... I really need to get like an air conditioning. To start coding you need a private void. Well, no. To start coding you can start off with anything. Hang on, I'll try and create a Java class somewhere. So everything in Java is basically classes, and classes are just ways to make sure that things that belong together stay together. And this is called as a longer word for saying encapsulation. But when you have a class and it has this function, a public static void main with these arguments, then you're able to tell Java that it's runnable. So that's why you have this play button here basically. And from here your Java program can start. But so from there on out you can say like, what did I have, a player or something. A player is an object that has maybe a name or something, I don't know, and an age, like your typical stuff, and age. And then you can say make a constructor using both of these properties, provide getters and setters. This is an anti-pattern, don't do this. And and then you can start creating a new player, for example. Give them a name, that gunt. Give them an age. If I were to guess your age, how old would you be? You're making a Minecraft plugin. I'm going to go with 15. I could probably be wrong, but I will live with this failure. It's fine. Then you've got a player, and then I don't know, like you can say sys out that gunt, and then what this will do, you're 19. Damn it. I'm so sorry. Here we go. I was only 4 years off. I'm so sorry. Here we go. Now we've got a toString, and then if I were to run this main, then so I will just click it, but there are shortcuts for that. It should print out, there you go, player with name Ted Gunt, which is age 19 years old. So yeah, so basically this thing tells the Java program to that it will accept input from the terminal, basically. So really what happens in the background is something like this. First you have compiled your Java code somewhere, go like Java C, in this case Scratch or something like that. Then this stuff will create a scratch.class and also a player.class file, like physical files. And what you can then do is Java Scratch. I think this is so long ago, I have no idea if this is correct. But if you do this, then since this Scratch class has a public static void main, then the Java runnable will see that this thing has a main function and will execute this. So the Java runtime will execute this function, basically. That's what happens if you just click this button. So yeah, that's sort of what happens. I could be mistaken about the syntax here, but it's been so long since I've done that, because there's a billion other ways to do that. Bye, Kun. Thanks for watching and stopping by. Okay, now we've made player actions explicit. We've given them a player, and now actually it should be compiling here. Oh! And now we can run all of our tests again, and then make sure that our refactoring works. So let me show you the gravity of our refactoring here. Oh boy. Hey, thank you for following, Ted. Thank you so much. Miners placed. Okay, well, that's kind of weird. The only thing I need to do here is just inline this. And then, yeah, there we go. So, look at the bunch of code that we got rid of now. Look at this. This was there before. And also, this was there before. And it really means I should have done this a longer time ago, because the refactoring was really super easy. Your wife is ecstatic. You were on TV? You didn't tell me this. What program were you on TV? Where can I find this? Give me the link. Oh, you mean like your name because you're streaming or something, and your wife saw the chat. We dropped frames. That's not fun. Roroana. No, wait. Roro Noah Diogo. Thank you for following on your channel. Yeah. You send your wife my regards. Tell her I really appreciate that You're allowed to watch me do some silly coding online. It makes me happy. But yeah, look at that. Look at this. This was like, I don't know, 8 lines of code, now only in this. And the best thing about it is that now whenever I invent or I need a new player action event, I can just put it in here and never have to change this turn order rule again. Ooh, guys, it's amazing, let me tell you, amazing. I will make a nice commit. So here what we did was, oh wait, before I commit, I also want to get rid of the type aliases, because now I can just hopefully inline them. And the imports will be fine. Let's compile. I wish they have like a longer cord for this Arctis thing, man. Because I was finger snapping. Hey, it's working. Let's run the code. I mean, run the tests. Yes. No, every time I am able to do a refactoring like this, it really makes me happy. The other thing that I haven't really shown yet was the fact that I used the type aliases to safely refactor, even though I still had to do like some imports there. That's also super nice, huh? And you can only do that stuff in Kotlin, by the way, so don't waste your time learning Java, just go to Kotlin straight. I don't know if that's good advice, but yeah. And what did we do? We actually introduced player action events. Removing lots of code. Yes. Wait. Ta-da. This is so good. This is so good. And I've actually also cleaned up some to-dos, in fact. Review. Ooh, we've got problems. That's not a good idea. Let's not commit problems, shall we? Yeah, I mean, then we don't need the val, and then I guess I also don't need the private. And with the other ones, private. Okay, yeah, this I can't. I need to like override this or something. Make internal. I don't think this will. That won't make any difference, right? Because it's still copy that exposes it. The thing I can do to get rid of that message is by not making this a data class and then writing the equals myself. Okay, let's do that. Companion object equals, that is fine. Let's also give it a toString. Okie dokie. And now we can just collapse these and not care about them in the slightest. Okay. What is this guy complaining about now? This is no longer a data class. Thank you so much for sharing that. Good, if you haven't have you written Steam? I have, well, I have now. Ta-da. No, I have no idea what you mean. I'm sorry. And then now it's gone. Okay, cool. Let's commit. Dang it. Ah, yeah. I do have a Steam account, if that's what you mean. But I haven't written any games for Steam yet, if that's what you mean. No, that's not my intention at all. I'm just doing this for shits and giggles, really. And for learning stuff. So really the thing I'm trying to push to its boundaries is... oh god, now I have to explain event sourcing. Basically, like you saw here, where I just gave this player a string and a name, this is also called state. So when you do this, I say I'm going to create a player object and I'm going to give it the state having a name of Ted Gunt and having the age of 19. And instead of doing this, just like setting it properly, what you can also do is, let's call it an event sourced player, is say this event sourced player is consisted of an event stream or something like that, maybe. Oh, I mean, it's going to be a little bit more detailed than that, but this should suffice. The thing is, it is going to look exactly the same as this other player, but so it will have a constructor of a, yeah, maybe I don't even need this, but yeah, I don't need it. So I will have a constructor which is going to take in an event stream. Oh, I can just do this. That's cool. Event stream. No, now I'm writing Kotlin. Event stream. Let's also make it final so that we explicitly say that you cannot modify the event stream thing. And there we go. And here we can say new event stream. And then we can say event stream push a new name or player created event. That's going to be created event where you pass in that Gunt and an age of 19. And what we now need to do is have a new player event somewhere. Class new player event, which actually has these fields. So this contains the state basically. And then what you want to do now is also give them state, but then don't build it up directly by passing along the state, but having it replay. So we'll do replay or rebuild an event sourced player based off of event stream, something like this. But this is going to be a function. And then what we can do is check the event stream for, okay, now I need an ID, I guess. Final UID. Create a field for that. And then I also need it here. Filter. Oh, I can't do any of that stuff, but basically what I want to do is go like filter events where you only have player created events, where you want to look for predicate, or no, this should be the player event, player created event, player created event ID equals the ID that you want to create. Something like that. And when you do that, then you can eventually assign, you can just say, here we finally found the player created event, PCE or something to make it short. And then you say this dot age equals PCE, this dot name equals PCE dot name, get name, something like that. Age. Yeah, and then what I want to do here is also pass along a UUID. And then, no, not create method, but add the final UUID ID. There we go. Something like this. So you get the player created event and then build your state for your player based on the event stream. So it's quite difficult, but it allows you to be, it gives you a little bit more freedom. That's basically why you'd want to do such a thing. And I wanted to push that to its limits because you don't even need to create these kinds of objects when you only have events, because you can then just say, I maybe want like a vague concept of a player or something like that. Then you can just pull all of these player created events and make something of a player out of that. And I think I do that. I do that here. So here what I do is I just check the event stream for all of the player joined events that happened during the game, and they will just become my players. And then this is like some nice Kotlin syntax to make a computed property, so that whenever you use players like I do here and here, it will then read the players as a stream. So it will then only consume the event stream again and then check what the players are at that moment in time. And doing that really allows you to stall creating an object as long as you can. And the benefit in that is that you don't make premature abstractions. And that's like a huge problem when you're doing object-oriented programming, because once you've made a class or something and you've made this abstraction, then there's a problem that anything of a feature is going to be pulled into that class you thought of was going to be a good idea, because everything just seems to fit in there just because it has a name. It's really interesting that you might encounter at some point in your new career as a programmer. So congrats. I'm dishing out the wisdom here, man. You have no idea. Literally, you have no idea probably, but that's okay. You can rewatch the stream like when you're 24 or something, or 23. Then this will start to make sense probably. Cheers to future you. How do you say that again in German? I have no idea. Ein Prosit, ein Prosit. There you go. What can you do in Germany? Prost. Okay, Prost. Entschuldigung. Yeah, hey, this is great. We've pushed a code, which was a long time coming, in fact. So if you want to check out some more Kotlin code, you can just go here. Well, actually, not here, but here. There you go. That will now contain all of the code I just pushed. Right. Now I'm contemplating on starting something new or not because it's already 20 past 10. Yes. Let's see where we were. So this is Dunsies as well. I can remove that comment or that to do. And then now we can continue doing actual implementation. Now these refactorings were really important to do actually because it will make the code more safe to adjust, and basically that's it, huh? But just that, it will also make the code more easy to read. So readability is very, 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 very important. And that's something that Kotlin helps you enormously with. Yeah. A player cannot use the pump house when you do not have enough zloty. Yeah, that implies that a player needs to be at the correct position. Oh shit, this is like the first test case that that requires there to be water in the thing. So I need to have, let's say three water or something, or maybe 2 water. Okay, it just occurred to me that I think this only makes sense the moment that I've done this stuff. But I want to write it now. Let's just do the simplest case. So starting 2 water cubes, you need to pay some money. And I think you need to pay 2 zloty. So this is fine. And then I can say with player having, and let's do, I guess the black player is trying to use the pump, so let's give the black player 1 zloty. And when that happens, so transition requires you to have enough zloty. I'm pretty sure I've written this before somewhere else. Okay, so before there wasn't water in this mine chamber. Now there is, because I've told my game setup to have only tiles of this with brown, brown, green, green, white, white salts, and then 2 water cubes. Set up the players in the game, told the game that black only has 1 zloty. Fill up the mine shaft basically until they are, oh no, it's white that's going to use the pump house. Oh yeah, so white will have enough monies, so maybe then I can make the test case a little bit easier. There we go. And then we'll just give white 1 zloty, which is not enough because they want to use the pump house and they want to mine 2 water cubes because there are indeed 2 or something like that. And then we should get this error message, and then we're not going to get that error message because I haven't coded it yet. But this is good. This is really good because now I can verify that my test is valuable to me, because I can verify that my test is working properly. So a player cannot use the pump house when they do not have enough zloty is what I expected, except there wasn't a throwable raised. So let's go to use the pump house function. Leave this for what it is. And then mining doesn't take money, but transport handling does. Ooh. So again, this will be the same. Oh, I also need to do this, in fact. Oh. Okay, I'm glad that I looked at this. So what I'll do is hang on. So no, I don't think I want to reuse this because when you bring out salt out of the mine, how can I show that using this thing maybe? Yeah, so here let's say that what is this, the green player or something, the green, either green or orange, if they want to, let's say that there's salt here and they want to mine, oh, so this is salt. The green player wants to mine salt out of this thing, so that means if they just do 1 salt cube, they need to have they need to pay purple. Here they need to pay purple or white, only white, purple or black, and orange or black to get their thing out of the mine. So maybe it's going to be a little bit easier if I have white extract some salt from this position, because then white needs to pay once here. Here they have miners, and then once here and once there. So that will be 1, 2, 3 times the amounts of cubes that you mine out of this mine. But so for example here they can choose which player that they pay the zloty to, and here they can do it again. So I think typically what you want to do, for example, is you want to give purple 1 zloty. Here you want to give black 1 zloty, and here you want to give orange 1 zloty, and then it's sort of equally distributed among the players so that you don't give the advantage to one of them. You have to play tactically. But this is not something that you need to do when you're pumping out water, because you will always be paying to just 1 person, which is not even a person, which is the bank. So in this case, white would pump out 2 cubes of water, which is going to cost them 3. And then when they do 3, they need to pay, oh, so sorry, 2 water cubes, then they need to pay 2 zloty to the bank. And it's always to the bank, so there's no difference. So it doesn't make sense to copy something like this. You just need to have enough zloty, and then it will be automatically deducted from your account. I think that's going to be much easier. So here in the pump house, we are going to check. You do have enough zloty to pay for using the water pump. Or no, the pump house. It's called the pump house. So we'll do check how much zloty the player has, and it needs to be greater or equal than the water pump cost to pump water to pump out of the mine for this player. The player doesn't matter. I don't even think that the at matters here, because for extracting salt it does matter, because you want to learn how much it costs to mine from this position, and you need to check how much stuff is there. But that's not something you need to do when you're checking for a water pump cost. And this is quite... Wait, what? I just want to create this water pump cost. Yeah, this. A byte? No. Let's do slotty. The listener works, congrats! That's really cool. But the date thing, don't... Oei. Now let's see if my test is still failing, eh? Mm-hmm. I don't think I want to. If we just return 2, then water pumping is always going to cost 2 zloty. I don't think I want to do that. Okay. Now I just need to fix this message, because that's the only thing that's wrong here. Run it again, and then we can run all of the tests again. Olé! Green. Run all of the tests again. Nice. Right, and now we can just check that the correct amount goes to the what's it called? To the bank. So let's do the same setup every single time with just 4 water cubes, which is the max. And what I will do is I'll always change this one. So the first thing is, if you just pump out 1 water cube, this should work because you'll always have enough. And let's also give the man enough zloty. Maybe exactly enough. I think 9 is the max you need to pay, right? 999. Yeah, I think it is. Sorry about that, Dad. Yeah. So what we can do now is ooh. So I did this the other day. Assert that test Magnum Sal. Yo, what the hell? Test Magnum filter events with I think it's just payment events. Yes. That these contain actually does not contain at all. Slotty paid. White. And then any amount. Shit, and I don't have that. I will need to do this differently then. Okay, what I will do is I will continue to filter where I'll say that it.player equals white, and now we have all of the white payment events, and does not contain, and then there's like a way to, does not have any elements of types, and then there's the paid event type. Yeah. Now I don't think I can make this fail first, but let me try. Oh, actually, it might actually fail. No, I need to fail it first. So the water pump cost is fixed now, but so once you've pumped water, you'll also need to pay up, yo. Right, I also need to add a number for that. Slotty paid, and then white. Let's make him pay 1 or something. Oh yeah, this should just be player. Okay, let's run it. That's not cool, man. Very strange. Because the way that this thing works was by subtracting. Yeah. I just said subtracting and I haven't implemented it like that. I think I can do this. I thought I could do that. Tell me why it's not compiling. Yeah, no, I can't do that. I need to do it like this. Then, because otherwise I would lose the feature that you can just use filter events with a type and then get that type of events. Meh. But I am really puzzled as to why this is not working. I guess I could just check which payment events. Let's put the breakpoint there, and then let's put a breakpoint there. Rerun the test, and then check what's in the actual payment events. It's empty. That's not supposed to be correct. Why is it empty? We might have a serious problem here because if we have a bug inside this filter events implementation. Oh yeah. Oh, that's annoying. Oh, it gets inlined. Yeah, it's annoying. Try to do that again, and then check what is in the actual payment events. Tough cookie to crack. Still 0 events. What? Zloty paid. Checking for any payment events. Is it not doing this or something? Rerun the test and debug. I think you should enter here first. Yep. Here is the push. Oh. Let's get into this filter events thing then. Jesus. This is already JUnit. I think we've passed the point. I'm going to skip this song. I've heard it so many times. Yeah, this one too. Fuck you. Ole. Okay, let's go back to the test builder. Ow, owie, 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 owie. Pro tip, make sure you treat your pack okay. Where in the hell did I do that? So this filter events thing gets called in the tests. Oh, but I don't know. I am using the Setup events, what the fuck things? Does this also get updated maybe late in it? Because it's just a reference? Because I don't want it to be just a reference. I need this to be like a concluded thing. Let's do it like this. Okay, so filter events is going to return me a list, right? And I don't think I need to do this, in fact. Optimize read-only list, but I think that already happens basically in here. See, because they make a new list. Oh, I don't get it. Oh no, I think I know what it is. Oh, this is gonna hurt. Oh no. No, 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 no. This is bad. Okay, I will try to explain. Let's say I don't do this. I'm thinking that it might actually just work. So if I do this, this function will just check how much is the difference and then fill it up. And I think what I had before was exactly 9. And if I go, oh yeah, where is it? Let's just run it, and if it works, then I have like a 90% guarantee that my theory is correct. I knew it, huh? Okay, so let's make it 10. Still likely that it's going to be correct. Yeah, I mean, it's also going to fail with this. That really sucks though. Yeah. Oh, God. Wait, maybe it's still not correct. So if I did 30, what was the amount? Okay, so somehow this thing, a forever mesh. Noticed I was started going. Yes, I have. It's going okay. I was live coding yesterday, and I think I've coded the week before that and the week before that. So I'm trying to maintain the schedule of once a week, but I really felt like doing a live coding session tonight again, because I really needed it, because yeah, the project I'm on right now isn't that great, in fact, and don't have a lot of choice anymore. But I try to motivate myself by doing some actual coding that I like and enjoy, And why not stream it, right? Yeah. Gotta strike the iron when it's hot. That's right. That is absolutely right. So I felt motivated this evening to code again, and so why not? You know, why not? I don't have a schedule. So let's just do it. Yeah, I'm glad I did. But now I'm not really glad I did, because I've run into this really shitty, annoying issue, which keeps me from properly asserting in my tests, and I'm not liking it one bit. So you caught me a little bit at a bad time, let's say, because at the beginning I was really motivated. You can ask Ted if he's still in here. But yeah. Thanks for coming to say hi. Feel you at coding for fun when a professional project isn't getting you motivated. Yeah. It's really like at an all-time low. Maybe not all-time low, but yeah. It's troubling. But hey, at least we have this, so really appreciate you coming to say hi. How have you been doing? Because I mean, if you can feel me when a professional project isn't getting you motivated, I hope it's not at this moment like that, but pumping water sounds like a game. You might be correct. This is the game. Ta-da! It's called Magnum Sal, and it's a board game about a famous Polish salt mine, Waliczka or something, Wieliczka. And the goal is to mine salt out of the mine, basically, and then give it to the king that has assignments for you. So here he wants you to get 3 white salts, and he's going to give you 33 zloty for that. So that's mucho dineros. And there's a bunch of rules, and the rules that I've implemented already was everything belonging to the mining out of the corridors, revealing tiles, making sure that you can't mine salt when you don't have enough strength for it and stuff like that. And now I'm actually implementing the functionality of the first building outside of the mine, which is the water pump or the pump house. And this thing, if you visit it during one action, for example, as the white player here, you can visit the pump house and get rid of this water, which will then allow you to at least mine 1 salt out of this position or out of this mine chamber. But doing that, you still have to pay this guy and then either of those guys and either of those guys to get your salt all the way out of the mine shaft into your... where is it? Like, you can't really see it here, but every player has like a... how do you call that? Like their stuff, their inventory, let's call it. Programming board games is great fun due to the very concise rule set yet challenging situation that can arise. That is correct. And also, I am challenging myself a little bit more. Well, these are meeple indeed, but I'd like to call them miners because they're in the mine already, and when they're in your inventory, they're just called workers. And you can hire workers at the inn for a certain amount of zloty. And when they're positioned here at the water pump, they're called an assistant. So here they're miners, assistant, workers. Also workers, also worker. But I'm challenging myself a little bit more extra. Well, not really challenging myself, trying to figure out something, in fact. Verifying something. Because the idea of this game is to make it in an event sourced way, or using the event source design pattern, let's call it, which will then hopefully allow me to postpone creating unnecessary abstractions as long as I can. And Kotlin has some neat features to do just that by providing computed properties. And you can still make it a little bit more explicit what you're trying to get, because here it's very simple, but I'm saying this Magnum Sal has a property called players, but really what it is just a bunch of player joined events. And then if you want to check how many players there are in the game, you can just do players.count and be done with it. But for minors, I've already made that into a concrete object because I've identified something. You get a free undo button, that's also true. I haven't implemented undo just yet, but yeah, that's correct. And it's not really free, but it will make it a lot easier. Eh? I'm happy that you're familiar with event sourcing, and I don't need to explain that stuff anymore. But yeah, so at some point I thought, okay, now I am ready. I have identified all of the behavior that I want to be encapsulated, and I've created this minors class, and I've extracted a bunch of stuff in there, and then now it's working great. So yeah, but now I'm at like a really shitty bug, because so the bug was this thing. I'm going to be writing a bunch of test cases so that I can verify like how much the pump house costs. So that's basically this here. So extracting 1 water cube is free, extracting 2 costs 2, and then per 1 it just costs an additional number. And thank you for being my rubber duck. So 2 costs 2, 3 costs 5, 4 costs 9. It's just a cost you have to pay. And I wanted to write test cases for this rule basically. And I started off by saying, well, if you just pump out 1 water cube, you don't have to pay anything. But I wanted the setup to be consistent, because at that point I can just extract all of this and then have all of these 4 test cases look almost exactly the same. But the problem lies with this thing here in combination with the way I want to verify that there aren't any paid events. So in this case, what I really wanted to do was I'll just give him 9 zloty, which is just enough to pay for extracting 4 cubes of water, pumping that stuff out. So it was a bit of a coincidence that I did this, but then when I run this test, so I give the white player 9 zloty, I set up their workers in the mine, and I use the pump house action, and my test is green, which is not something I want because I want it to fail first. Because this means that even though I've actually written, hang on, so if I go to pump or use pump house, there we go. I do push a zloty paid event with maybe just a 1 on the event stream. So whenever this stuff passes, then I will always pay zloty. So the test should fail, in fact, because there should be zloty paid with 1 zloty in here, but there aren't. And that's the reason why that happens is because yesterday I coded something that I thought was good, which is when I do basically I always run into the same issue, because at this point I've set up my game and I don't care about the events that were created up until this point, because I will always just want to assert stuff on all of the events that come after this point in time. Okay, I'm getting an idea already. So already worthwhile. But so what I will show you. So this build thing will, at this point when I build the game using that test builder, I will also create some state that says here are all of the setup events up until this point, because when you created it, that's usually the point in time where you start doing stuff on your game that you then want to assert on the event stream. So my idea was I will build up the setup events up until that point, and then provide like a nice way to check just the events that come after this. And I've put that on a function on this test Magnum Sal thing. So this one takes into account the complete event stream and then filters out all of the ones that are, so it basically excludes all of the setup events from it. So thereby only leaving the events, or supposedly only leaving the events that I'm interested in after I've done the setup already. But this, in combination with the fact that my zloty paid is a data class, and data classes are equal when their fields are equal, and in combination with the fact that in my setup here, if a player has, I don't know, I want them to have a certain amount of zloty, I correct that by just pushing paid and received events on the stream for that. So basically the player here is paying for nothing just to make sure that they have a certain amount of money. So this causes there to be a zloty paid event with 1 on there, which will then actually get filtered out because of this, which will then make this list empty, and which will allow this thing to pass. It's really... I don't blame you if you've zoned out until now, because it's a really long... Yes, sounds like abusing an existing event to do something it's not supposed to. That's exactly correct. And you know what's worse is I've made it, or that was like the whole idea of having this fucking class, was so that I could do things in a way that the game approves. And here in this part, I'm just breaking that, and now I'm running into it. But yeah, what you just said sounds like you need a player has money event. Would work, I think, but I don't want to add a player has money event here. Because I only want it in my tests. So, but the thing that I was thinking of when I was explaining it to this rubber duck called Forever Mesh, so thank you for that, was to instead of doing this setup event stuff, was just pushing a snapshot event here instead of doing a setup event. And then what I could then do was just get all of the filter events after that snapshot event, which I think is a bit more concrete, because then that will allow me to still illegally use zloty paid and received, so be a little bit more lenient with which events that I use, and have like a better how do you call it, like a better place on where to subtract or start checking my events from. The other thing I could do is maybe you know what? So this is another thing I've learned. Who told me this? Like when you're mob programming, I don't know if you've ever done this before, but when you're doing this in a mob program and you've got two options, just code them both and then see which you like best. And I really like that idea. So let's try that. But before we do that, I think I might first want to I thought maybe it was a good idea to have this work first, but then I don't really have a good way of testing our plan. So let's just do it right now. So filtering out events just to get the events that matter in your test seems like a way to get weird behavior. It's true. What about an expectation on the amount of events and fetching the last X and checking the... Ooh. That's also an option. Damn, now we've got 3 options. Okay, wait, let me list all of them, huh? This is great. I'm so glad you joined the stream. So, option the first. What was it you said? A player has money events. 3 options, no mobs. Imagine that. Option the second. So this is introduced as money event just for testing purposes. The other one was the introduce snapshot event to get a marker from where to start ascertaining events. Option the third would be to only fetching the last X amount of events. We have player initialized event. And that would actually help a lot with the rest of the setup as well. But then I feel like I'm going to be... So wait, I will also list this as an option. Player initialized event. I don't really like this one because I'm afraid it will seduce me into making improper use of existing domain events. And I don't want that. So I already made a mistake when I did this. And I don't need more incentive to misuse that. Or unless you just mean initialized really as in the initial, I don't know, money amount of workers, what other stuff, like the tool set that they have and stuff like that. It could work at a later stage maybe. But for now I don't think it's a good idea because I really am afraid about this. I know myself too well. But I think this is a really good one. Player join, check if everything is okay in their starting gear. Yeah, but so that I can't really bypass because somewhere in here, where was that? Here, I set them up. I just do with players and then in the player order, I determine the player order. So I think it's at this point I give them money. No, that's not correct. Ah yeah, it's at this point I give them money because depending on the order, each player receives a certain amount. So the first player received 10, second 12, 14 and 16. let's explore one of the options. Maybe this one. I like that one. So so what I could do is, since I already have this setup events, I can basically skip the list here. Skip. Hey. Man. I really thought there would be. Drop then. There we go. Drop this dot setup events dot size. I think this is already going to work. Let's see. If I were to run it, I think it should work already. Because now I'm no longer excluding the wrong events. Gear being meeple, cards, money. Yeah, that's fair. You don't know all the events. Yeah, well, neither do I, in fact, but... No, it's still wrong. You what, mate? Okay, now... I really expected it to work now, though. The order should be maintained, right? Hang on. So I first need to drop and then filter. Oh, this is not that great. So what I think I'll need to do is create a new event stream. Which takes a mutable list. What's the problem? Okay. I mean, I can probably improve this at some point, but let's make it work first. There we go. Yeah. Okay, so that works, and that was quite fast, right? The way we can improve this? Any way we can improve this? We could just already name this a little bit better, I guess. Like events to assert. Something like that. That will already be a little bit better. I like this because it's really simple. I can keep this setup mechanic. I don't need to, I mean, if at some point I need to use the specific events, I still have access to that because, well, it's just a list of events. Let's start writing that down. Nice, because simple implementation plus leaves options in the setup events thing. This I already dislike because it's more work than this one, and also I mean, I don't really see a next use case for this. I guess what I could do is like do something like test Magnum Sal snapshot or something here, and then also skip these events instead of having to wait for that. So that's the main benefit of this snapshotting thing, I think. Sounds like a lot of work. But maybe it's not really that much work, eh? We haven't really tried. I'm easy to convince. Okay, so build, that would mean we should do something like this. Push snapshot. Damn it, how do you call that? Snapshot for tests or something. I don't know. Do we give that a date? I think we do. Now? Is that a thing? Yeah. Is there an issue that it adds a test-only event to your stream, possibly influencing your production code workings? I mean, I can't be sure, but I'm pretty sure I don't. Like, I'm not sure anymore, but I feel like it could be possible. I could just, somewhere in my production code, just check the amount of all of the Magnum Sal events for some reason. I don't think that I do that now, but I mean, I can see it influencing that, so that's also not a great idea for that part. But I think, this is quite easy already. And then in my size here, I just do this, I guess. The same drop logic, but then up until the point of the most recent snapshot event. It's still quite okay, right? But more work than the other one that I have now. So let's write that down. More work than 3. Might also at a later stage impact. Yikes. Got the D. Impact actual production code. But getting events to assert is quite simple. Let's see. You'd still be inside the test when you add it, so the developer would have the context of why it might fail. Yes, that it's more explicit, that's true. But it is something that might cause some frustration the first time you bump into it without knowing how that snapshot event works. That's true, but at least you've got like a much better point of failure, eh? If you... Because now you really need to know that Test Magnum Sal's build creates this setup events thing, and the fact that filter events does this stuff. So it's more magic, but it's more concise that way, which I like anyway. Plus also, you don't necessarily see that this build is doing this. That would be different when you would do something like this, which would then do the same. So, you like the flexibility a lot, especially when to reuse setup. Yeah, that's true. That's true. So a lot more text with this one. Okay, so these are all the negative points. Quite simple, more explicit in code. So what's it called? Quality of life for future devs or something. And then, what was it last you said? Reuse of setup will be easier. There you go. Or maybe not across, but in. Alright. I can't really think of anything else there. And then this one, or wait. Snapshot sounds like a good thing to have for flexibility in test setup, but complex for solving the issue at hand. That's true, but I've already made the mistake before, like at the beginning of my stream. I did like a quite small refactoring step, in fact, but I cleaned up so much code, and it would have helped me earlier so much. I mean, it would have helped me along so much earlier as well. So I was sort of sad that I postponed the refactoring for so long. This is a learning project. It's not a production project where I would much more quickly make that reasoning. And this player has money. I dislike this one the most, I think. Introduces implicit test, no, event just for tests, making it a bit confusing for future devs. They might expect this event in the code itself. I guess that can be fixed if you just name it differently, yeah? Could be fixed by naming it explicitly. Yeah. You know, in Elm, the functional programming language for the UI, Elm, their compiler says something like, gee, what was it again? Or maybe it was a tutorial. Like, now is always a good time to do refactoring. I love it so much. But there it makes much more sense, I think, because reuse of functions and then making them more abstract will just give you more power throughout your entire application, and it makes way more sense there. But here we introduce a little bit more complexity, yeah? Ah, you saw the player has money event as something that would be in production code. Okay. Yeah, okay, so in that case, I would also prefer the initialize player or something. Event. But it would still adhere to game rules. Ah, yeah, but... Ooh. Okay, so now that becomes a little bit more interesting, I think. I'm glad, see, this is why you write stuff down, huh? So what I wanted to... So this is not what we want to do then. So it's not just for testing purposes. Or initialize, or player initialize or something. To be renamed, huh? We'll be needing it anyway soon, DM. The other thing is that it's that's just an excuse, actually. it's not an advantage, but the advantage, the main advantage is that it will provide a nice hook. Okay, next hook to set up players in tests without screwing with the production code too much? Because I will need, yeah, I'm not sure. Let's think about that. It's not a player action, that's correct. So it at some point, if we just think about when it should happen, if we're actually setting up our Magnum Sal thing itself, let's go to the Magnum Sal thing itself. Is there a way to order these by public first? Because I don't care about privates. Set the army commander. Add player. Okay, so add player happens first. And then actually to initialize, it should happen right after determined play order. So if I want to inject something here, I could say something, because this part already belongs to that initializer, right? So instead of just creating a Magnum Sal class with just an event stream, some chamber tiles, and whether or not you want to debug stuff, I could also pass all. Okay, I could also pass along private. Is that a private? Can you do that? Private initializer or player initializer, which is something that produces player initialized events. Something like that. Because then I can use this function right here. And then have like a default or something, because this thing gets created. Okay, let me just revert this. This gets created in the test Magnum Sal, but also in nowhere yet. But yeah, then it would be here, I guess. And then I can set it up before the build happens, so that would work as well. I think this is really the nicest one though. Hang on. It's a weird one though, because it's not really a player action. Yeah, correct. And player action event, no, player joined event. Game started event with a number of players as a field. Yeah, the thing I have now is first you need to add players, which then will create player joined events. And then, yeah, this is a way to determine the play order, which in my head, how do you say that? I just delegate. I envisioned delegating this, checking the player order, determining the player order to the people that were playing the game, basically. Let's just imagine there's a client, and this client has code to determine the player order. Then this is what they should call. But still, yeah, maybe the game started event should be a thing then. Yeah, I don't really know. Player joined event. We have game started event with number of players as a field. Yeah, for now I don't think I need it, because then I also need to call that that stuff all over the place. I think I'd rather just extract this into that initializer then. The game setup part, yeah. I guess I don't. I just want to have it happen implicitly, basically. If you determine the play order, then you're ready to go and play. So it's cheap, but it's easy for me. It also makes me how do you say that? Focus on things that matter more, I guess. You'd lean towards a game started event that contains the parameters, a number of players, order, difficulty, optional rules. Yes, I think that would also make a little bit more sense. Yeah. Okay, but that sounds like too much work right now. I think so. That's like a negative thing. Is going to be much more code to write. Sad. But yeah, I think at some point I will probably need that, and then I'm going to be happy that I will leave this comment here. Also, what I'm going to do is make sure that thank you so much, Forever Mash, for the brainstorm on this. And then I think I'm going to just stick with this, in fact, for now. Where was it? Ah yeah, so this is no longer an option anymore, because it has turned into this one. Only fetching the last. So this one is my preferred thing for now. Having multiple smaller events to set up the game works too, but using events that happen during the game feels like reusing them for two separate concerns. I don't understand what you mean by that, though. But using events that happen during the game feels like reusing them for two which are the concerns that you mean? Is it just the fact that multiple detailed events combined imply, for example, the game started event? Do you mean that? Because I think my preference there is to still have the detailed events and then also emit just a game started event after all of them happened. If that's if I explained that well. Oof, it's 11:30 already. Holy crap. But yeah, we were in the middle of a discussion. I think I'm going to go with this option for now. Going with this for now because it's simply the least amount of code, but really, or will probably refactor towards option 1 at a later stage. For example, when introducing players get assigned a bunch of initial workers. So the two separate concerns you were talking about were the setup of the game and the actual playing of the game. Yes, that's true. Yeah, there's no explicit boundary event, let's call it, in between those. That's true. You could have an event to update the player's money count that can be used during setup and during play. Well, that's the zloty paid and zloty received events that I was misusing now, which normally don't happen and before without them actually doing actions. It's past your bedtime. Yeah, it's also past my bedtime. But if the rules differ between those two situations, it should be two events. Yeah, I haven't thought of that. I think I've ran into that, but it didn't cross my mind. The thing I did earlier was, and I started to detect like there's something there, was when I introduced this player action event, because before we just had all of these separately. So you can pass, you can place a miner, remove a miner, mine salt, and pump water. And all of these are specific events that the player can do as an action. And this is a way to more explicitly define, because you mine salt, your miners now are tired. And searching for this is way more easier than doing the combination of how many salt was mined and how many miners were at that position at that time. So it makes it much more easier to do some checks there. And same for this. This is also a side effect for putting your miner on some mine chamber tile. So side effect, and then the zloty received stuff is also a side effect, because you can pay to transport salt out of the mine to a specific player. But here, in that case, they always happen at the same time. And then player order determined and player joined are initialization events. So this is game state or game setup events. These are all side effects, and these are player actions. You know what I will do is I will identify them a little bit like this. Side effect events. These are obviously player actions. And then miner got tired also belongs here. And here we've got game initialization events. There we go. That is a very interesting discussion whether that should be a different event or not. Which one do you mean, the miners got tired one? I think if it's something, it expresses domain concepts, so it should be an event. That's how I reasoned about it. Very important for that undo button to know which is which. Oh yes, that's true. And with that, yes. Ah, yeah, side effects, yes. Okay, maybe it's not really side effects events, but therefore not necessarily less important. Still contains how do you call it? Domain language concepts. Marker events. Well, they're actual things that the rulebook speaks about. You know? Like, you mine salt, your miners get tired. You move a miner to a chamber, you reveal the chamber. You transport salt, you pay a player zloty. I think they're called side effect events because they just are caused by other events and not commands. That's why there needs to be a better term for that, right? Oh fucking hell! Yeah, I'm not very much into the lingo of event sourcing because this at the same time is also me doing event sourcing for the very first time. So I mean, I'm learning along. So very valuable for me, this one. Very valuable. I'm learning so much. Okay. Let's make I'm gonna make my code compile. Make sure it works. Commit, push, and sleep. How's that sound? Then you'll also be off the hook. One thing I find weird about that, can't help myself, is that the side effect event will now live in your event stream. That's true, yeah. And if the logic ever changes and you run through the events again, it might not generate that event anymore. Wait, why would that be? Because if the logic ever changes by mistake, or you mean if the rules change or something like that? But still, if it doesn't generate that event anymore, whether that's by mistake or because the rules effectively have changed, it doesn't change the fact that, let's see, that I really am interested in exactly this event. Wait, not this one. Is it here? Yeah. To verify which workers are tired at a certain position, I just check this event now. And it will never change. So whether this gets generated by the fact that miners were ordered to mine or for some other reason, I'm still going to be interested in this miners got tired event for checking how many tired workers there are at some position for a certain player, so that I can then check a player's strength at that position, so that I can check that they have indeed enough rested miners at that position. If the rules change. Yeah, I believe that if the rules change, I can get rid of that event, but I really believe that it's important enough to keep as a separate event. Because it represents a domain concept. Feels like you're making that additional event as a way of keeping state to check things more easily. No hard evidence of this, just gut feeling. Yeah. I can wait, maybe I can show you as well what it looked like before. Where was it? In the event migration kata. So you can play around with this yourself. There is one branch that's called the event migration kata, where your assignment is in fact to add this event, introduce this event, see, and then migrate the event stream that was before only consisted of mining salt and placing miners, etc. So if you were to introduce, if you want to refactor your code basically and depend on these events being created, you need to replay your event stream so that now miners got tired events are there. We'll bring it up during the next poker game. I'm sure the rest will gladly chip in on this topic. Nice. That would be great. Okay. Alright. Let's see. So I've got a failing test, so I know where I left off. Just to make sure, let's run it again. That it's correct indeed. So I am expecting zloty paid. Yeah, well no, the event stream to have not this, but it does have it. So yeah, then the fix is easy. I just go to pump water, use pump house, and don't do this, and then the test is fixed, I guess. Thank you. No, thank you. I really need to thank you. Thank you for joining and making this. This was really cool. Really cool. It's also like an artifact of how the stream went. It's great. Options for checking which events are interesting for asserts. Alright, and then I will push this code and close down the stream. Maybe we are 3 viewers. I will check who I can host. Just like as a... Oy, shit. Too fast. My colleagues would scowl at me if they knew I caused comments to be added to... Okay. You're right. What I will do... I think I have it. Captain's log. No, I don't have a captain's log. That's not good. That's not good. So I skipped out on one of my best practices. Directory. Let's call it docs. Let's create it right now. Captain's log.mb. Add. Today is a day 2020 525. I forget so fast. Yeah, introduced this captain's log. Lightweight ADRs, architectural decision records, but basically misusing it for my own learning purposes. There we go. And then I can also say options to deal with not having to filter all the events in the event stream. Bam. And then We'll format this real quick. Okay. Option the first. Let's do that. Oh, it's still there we go. I'm not sure. Oh, damn it. Sometimes Markdown just isn't great. This I don't need either anymore. Ooh, it's a good thing I checked that. This should go because it wasn't a real thing. Pros. God damn it, why do we have mosquitoes now? Jesus fucking wow. Stealing that, go ahead. The idea of a captain's log is also to make it just a little bit more fun for everyone to write something in there, because if you just don't think of it as like a boring documentation thing, then maybe it might help getting your colleagues to actually write good documentation. And it's good to have it, that it's fun, and it will read a little bit better. So this was my decision. There we go. There's no budget for fun, just like there's no budget for improvement. I know, I'm salty. This didn't have any cons, that's not good. We should have at least come up with some cons. I guess the cons would be it's not really future proof. Is not really future proof. There we go. Icky dicky. There we go. Moved comments out of test and into captain's log. I think I even had like a learnings.md maybe, now that I remember it. No, I don't. Okay, fine. Then I didn't. But yeah, so there you go. Let's push this as well. And then I really will be closing down the stream. I don't think it will be a good idea to host because you're the only one watching. Thanks so much again for hanging out, saying hi, helping out, did great discussions. It was really nice. Alright, I hope to see you next time as well. I don't really know when that is going to be. I think next Sunday for sure though, but then in the meanwhile I don't really know yet. Anyway, thank you so much and have a good night's rest. Peace, bye.